The body hardware withstands the conditions of domestic use perfectly, and even on copies of the first years of production, with the exception of those that were in an accident and subsequently poorly restored, it is impossible to find rust. In general, corrosion is not something to be afraid of when choosing a 70. Particular attention should be paid to the condition of special deformation zones of the body. The fact is that in order to achieve high safety indicators, this model uses disposable body elements that are responsible for absorbing impact energy in an accident, which are almost impossible to restore. Although domestic coolie bins can give a damaged car a decent appearance, and through extraordinary design solutions, welding homemade slopes and other delights, ensure that it does not pull when moving in one direction or another. But still, such a vehicle will never drive normally. Its behavior in some road situations can be downright dangerous. Therefore, in order not to buy such a homemade product, you need to be very careful about inspecting the body for damage, and it is better to do this with a specialist who knows the features of the model. The body design has an undeniable advantage. In the event of an accident, most of the body elements will fold into an accordion, and the volume of the cabin, and therefore the health of passengers, will be preserved to the maximum extent possible. And one more point related to safety: the belts are equipped with a sensor that monitors their fastening, and if the driver's belt is not latched, a special beeper will be a very unpleasant reminder of this circumstance, and if passengers neglect their belts, then the corresponding pictogram will indicate this will be indicated by a flashing red light. All this was done for the following reason: the operation of airbags is designed for passengers to be buckled up. The cabin is very ergonomic and really comfortable for all 5 passengers, and the excellent heating and ventilation system only adds to the comfort. Almost all cars are equipped with extensive electrical accessories, as well as air conditioning or climate control. The only thing that some drivers who are not familiar with Scandinavian cars do not like at first is that there are too many different buttons for controlling certain systems, which are not so easy to understand. The reliability of the interior filling is at a decent level. Perhaps the only troubles recorded were malfunctions in the operation of heated seats and isolated cases of jamming of the ignition switches. In addition, the power window may fail in winter. Both the sedan and the station wagon have a fairly spacious trunk. The latter, by the way, has various nets in the luggage compartment for securing cargo. And even among the sheds there are specimens with 2 additional seats. The 70th station wagon was produced in large quantities, and therefore it is no more difficult to purchase than a sedan. A number of representatives of this series have all-wheel drive transmission. These are the V70 AWD, S70 AWD models and the all-terrain modification V70 XC Cross Country, which features a different suspension, increased ground clearance to 250 mm and a plastic body kit. A self-locking differential is used in the rear axle, and the Trax traction control system is used at the front. It is also installed on simple front-wheel drive versions equipped with engines whose power exceeds 160 horsepower. The Trax system has the ability to manually turn off. A special key is provided for this. Most modifications with all-wheel drive were equipped with a 193 horsepower 2.5-liter engine with a low-pressure turbine. No characteristic defects have been recorded in these, almost SUVs, and troubles on the part of their transmission are in most cases the result of improper operation, because some drivers believe that if their car has all-wheel drive, then it can not only drive on road. Therefore, it is worth keeping in mind that the transmission of these modifications is very complex, and putting it in order costs a pretty penny. The model was offered with several options for 2.0-liter gasoline engines with a capacity of 126 horsepower, practically not found on our market, 2.5L, 140 to 170 horsepower, and 2.4L, 140 horsepower. In addition, modifications with turbocharging were produced, 2.0L, 163 to 225 horsepower, 2.4L, 193 horsepower, and a charged version of the T5, equipped with a 2.3L engine, 240 horsepower. And there was also a top version R with a 2.4-liter power unit, producing 250 to 265 horsepower. Our versions can be distinguished by a yellow or gold body color, with a few exceptions, a different front bumper with an integrated spoiler, 17-inch wheels, and a stiffer suspension. Also, the 70s were equipped with a 2.4-liter 140 horsepower Audi turbo diesel, but finding a car equipped with it is quite difficult. It should be noted that all engines are 5-cylinder and are characterized by high reliability and service life, with the exception of turbo versions, which usually do not exceed the 300,000-mile mark. Well, the turbines themselves require replacement after 150 to 200,000 kilometers. Possible troubles that occur with power units include contamination of injection nozzles, failure of sensors, this mainly applies to knock sensors, idle speed and air flow, and fragility engine mounts, which during active driving have to be changed after 100 to 120,000. And back in 2002, the concern recalled its cars due to possible defects in the gas tank valve. This defect manifested itself as follows: a car parked on a slight slope, with a gas tank less than a quarter full, it could refuse to start. Either 5-speed manual or automatic transmission could be installed with any engine, having the following modes: Sport, Winter, and Economy. By the way, Volvo has long been using Japanese automatic transmissions on its models, which are considered a model of reliability and, with regular oil changes, take as much care as the engine. The car uses independent suspension on all wheels, with a rear suspension with the so-called steering effect. The mileage of the suspension elements is generally the same as that of most modern business-class cars. The most low-resource element is the anti-roll bar struts, which in our conditions have to be changed every 50,000 kilometers. Around the 100,000th mark, the suspension requires significant investment. The turn comes in shock absorbers, tie rod ends, front levers and their silent blocks, as well as brake discs. At the rear, usually up to 150 to 180,000, everything, except for the shock absorbers, remains original. If you follow the recommendations of the experts, you should not save money and install non-original spare parts, except shock absorbers and brake discs. In the end, the savings may turn out to be very dubious, because high-quality non-original ones for this model are extremely rarely produced. The 70 is distinguished by successful suspension characteristics, which, even on our roads, ensure a smooth ride and at the same time excellent handling. In terms of operating costs, the model is no more expensive than the famous Germans, but in some way it allows you to stand out from the crowd, because Volvo is prestigious and, one might say, original. But we must remember that this is a modern, complex car that does not forgive unqualified or untimely maintenance, the consequences of which can be very unpleasant.